that was yesterday. Well, that was one of several disturbances that broke out during the Senate confirmation hearing of Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions. Of course, he's been nominated by Donald Trump to be the next Attorney General. He is appearing before the committee there. Sessions got off pretty easy from the lawmakers. Y'all, pretty much, it was very collegial, and just like the senators, really the only person who had specific, pointed, tough questioning was Senator Al Franken, as they dealt with Sessions and his record when it comes to civil rights, when it comes to the issue of race as well. Now, of course, the hearing was, as I said, interrupted 9 times. Democrats who don't have the votes to stop the confirmation kept the line of questioning very cordial. And again, Sessions was, among other things, Sessions was questioned about his position on voting rights, race, and immigration. Here's some of what he had to say.
I have no belief and do not support the idea that Muslims as a religious group should be denied admission to the United States. If they, their interpretation of their religious views encompasses dangerous doctrines and terroristic attacks, I think they should certainly deserve more careful scrutiny than someone whose religious views are less problematic. As a Southerner who actually saw discrimination and have no doubt it existed in a systematic and powerful and negative way to the people, great millions of people in the South, particularly of our country, I know that was wrong. I know we need to do better. We can never go back. I am totally committed to maintaining the freedom and equality that this country has to provide to every citizen, and I will assure you that that's how I will approach it. The caricature that was created of me was not accurate. It wasn't accurate then, and it's not accurate now. I was accused in 1986 of failing to protect the voting rights of African Americans by presenting the Perry County case, the voter fraud case, and of condemning civil rights advocates and organizations, and even harboring, amazingly, sympathies for the KKK. These are damnably false charges. I abhor the Klan and what it represents and its hateful ideology.
All right, today the committee will hear from Senator Cory Booker, Congressman John Lewis, who will both testify against Sessions' nomination. This is the first time in Senate history that a sitting senator will testify against another sitting senator for a cabinet post. Joining us right now from Michigan, Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who joins us with our panel. Congresswoman, here's the issue for me. All right, fine, Sessions, you don't want to go back to 1986 or some comment you made when you were 39. But yesterday, when he was questioned about the Voting Rights Act, he said that the Voting Rights Act is intrusive. It is too intrusive. He does not support. No. And then he said, well, I voted for the extension of the Voting Rights Act. Then he said that the Supreme Court called it intrusive, targeting certain states, not others. It's not like he said, as a result of that, let's then have it cover the rest of the country, other parts. No. So he does not have a history of fighting for voting rights for all Americans, especially black folks.
I went and sat in the chambers because I wanted to feel this hearing. I thought it was a lot of softballs thrown at him. It was something really telling, because whenever he was challenged on his record, he said, well, that's going to be your responsibility as members of the Senate, and I'll just follow the rules. He kept reflecting and giving it back to him.
As if he's not a current sitting U.S. senator.
And where he has had votes on record. Right. I mean, it's not like it was 50 years ago. He's consistently voted against voting rights. And when it comes to criminal justice, sir, you have a position. And so let's just think about what our existing responsibilities are for our attorney generals. Can you imagine him going to Baltimore to be in the middle of...
You can stop right there. I don't imagine him going to Baltimore.
No.
Forget whatever the issue is.
And to be the face of justice in this country where there is turmoil and everything is falling apart, and we expect him in that role to go there and to find the point of justice and law. and to reiterate that and pull people back from emotion. Do you see him there? And how many times did he find it amusing? They asked him, do you like FBI? Some of my best friends are FBI's. And there was laughter in the room, and I'm saying, really? We all know that's a code word. If I say, then we all know that came from some of my best friends. They're black people, ha ha. And it was accepted. It was like the good old boys network. And I was sitting there wanting to scream, because we're talking about the justice, the thing that holds our country together when it comes to human rights and our constitutional rights, which sets us apart from every other democracy. And you're going to put this man in charge of being the gatekeeper.
Scott,
setting the tone.
Senator Al Franken said, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what lawyers do, as he was challenging Sessions. He said the rest of the folks are lawyers. If the rest of them are lawyers, boy, they clearly ain't never cross-examined somebody, because I was sitting here going, hell, I questioned folks harder on this show than they did for the guy who'll be the next Attorney General.
Yes. They were quite genteel. And I've represented clients before congressional committees and Senate committees. They were quite genteel. And I think the Congressman is absolutely right. The danger of Jeff Sessions is, as the Attorney General and the U.S. attorneys around this country, he not only sets the tone, but really decides who gets prosecuted or not, what the priorities are. Justice Department is the only cabinet position or agency that has an ideal for a name. Okay, and that ideal is so important to our Constitution. He decides who gets prosecuted or not for a hate crime or otherwise. These are huge, daily, many decisions made every day across this country. Before you even get to the international, LGBT, women's rights, voting rights, abortion rights. It's a huge position, and his decision-making, and by the way, he can be both of those things. He can be a racist, and he can prosecute Klan members. He can give money to African-American institutions. He can support certain legislation and still be against rights that are important to us as Democrats. Let's not forget that. No boxes.
So Liz,
he checks all of them.
Here's the deal. I made this clear on the show many times. You will rarely ever hear me call somebody racist. Because, see, I'm not going to get into the racist, not racist conversation. I'm going to get into what you've actually done.
That's right.
And again, when I look at the issue of voter rights protection, this is a guy who also yesterday said, oh yeah, voter ID, I'm good with that. He said, well, he said it.
That's right.
So if you're sitting here going, there is no doubt he is not going to protect voting rights.
That's right.
He's not. His record has made that clear, and he's going to certainly follow his personal instincts if he is the Attorney General.
I hear you, and I understand the concern, and there should be concern, and I appreciate the Congresswoman being here and being in the room. I do not believe that that Senator Sessions is racist.
Okay,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not.
But I'm not going to have the racist, not racist conversation.
Right.
I want to deal with what he's voted on and what he said, not that. Well, no, because that's a waste of the discussion. Go ahead.
I understand what your point, but we keep using that term. And
I don't.
Well, your guest members, your panel members are using that word.
And I've been clear, I don't.
And I think it's important for the viewers to understand that it doesn't really matter, or as you said, whether I think he's a racist or if he could be both a racist and funding, the Klan or whatever. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek. What's important is what he's done. And let's talk about what he has done. And he has prosecuted the Klan, and he has stood beside the same senator who's now going to speak in opposition at his testimony, Senator Cory Booker. He stood with him to celebrate and honor the Civil Rights Act.
Hold on. But I was there. But I was in Selma when all of those Republicans who came there with Congressman John Lewis to celebrate the Selma 50th, and they came back to D.C. and would not reauthorize the Voting Rights Act. So just because you stand with Cory Booker to give medals to the foot soldiers, you dishonor them when you do not allow for the Voting Rights Act to come back.
Why didn't they?
Because it's easy to give a medal as opposed to vote for the law.
It's about the uniform application of the law. No, it's about the uniform application of the law, and it's about states' rights. That's also part of our Constitution.
Okay, so if he believes so much in the foot soldiers that he stood with Senator Cory Booker and awarding them that. If he believed in it so much, well, then stand with them when it comes to reauthorizing the Voting Rights Act.
Your party's leader said it best. Elections have consequences. All this fever and fervor that we have about this appointment, this should be a call to action for the members.
Well, first of all, hold up.
It wasn't.
No, hold on.
It wasn't.
Actually, no, Liz, you're wrong. It was a call to action from black folks, but it was white working class voters who don't give a damn about this. No, hold up. But they don't care about this issue. They care about the paycheck. Black folks care about paycheck and this issue.
Well, let's talk about what he said. Several months ago, he questioned birthright citizenship. He basically backed Donald Trump, and yesterday he said, oh, well, you know, sexual harassment, that is sexual harassment. That ain't what you said on the campaign trail several months ago. This is a man who, he might go to Baltimore, but I tell you why he would go to Baltimore, perhaps to prosecute Black Lives Matter activists. Wait a minute, hold on for a second. Slow down, because slow down, Liz, slow down. We're actually going to go by the record, because his civil rights work in Alabama, including the prosecution of 3 workers who were getting people to register to vote, is the Marion 3. Wait, hold on. He's talking about
election law violation.
Okay, fine. But my point was
thrown out.
I hear you. It wasn't because they were black. It was because of an election law violation.
Hold up. Final comment. About 45 seconds before I go to break. Go ahead.
Why this is such a critical appointment. Based on this election and the rhetoric and the unleashing of hatred in America, whether you're Democrat or Republican, I've never seen in my lifetime. After we went through the civil rights, we elected a black president where all of this comes forward. And this is the person who's going to be the gatekeeper of this, who has demonstrated, whether he's racist, whatever, his belief structure does not see the diminishing of our civil rights and the culture that we have in America. This is not the person for the job today.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.